People who have been to high school 10 years reunions, what were some surprises, shocks for you? It's like there was an eating contest after high school. And everybody won. How busted some people looked at 28. Getting fat isn't a surprise. Neither is going bald or coming out of the closet. But I was amazed at how many people looked like they had a lot of hard miles on them. Also at reunions. Remember that I used to have a crush on you really means I would FCK you right now. I didn't recognize anybody. I thought I must be in the wrong place. But my name was on the list. I thought I recognized a few names. But wasn't 100% sure. There was some donuts and coffee there. And I helped bring the DJ a glass of water. Does this guy knows how to party or what? I showed up only to find out that I never graduated. Not much changed. I went expecting everyone to be totally different people. Or to be in drastically different walks of life from where I thought they'd be after high school. But it was pretty much like walking back in time 10 years. The biggest divide was between those who had kids and those who didn't. And it became more apparent as the reunion went on. The childless ended up at the bar or around the tap more often. While those with kids formed their own clique. And, just like high school, my close friends and I peeled off from the larger group and went off and did our own thing once we realized that we didn't really want to talk to the rest of them as much as we thought we did. People broke out into their lunch tables they sat at during HS. There's a social experiment here. Someone do it for me. I found out that a guy in my high school class is in jail for some kind of involvement in child PRN. Also, 7 people have died from my high school class. Pretty sad. Edit. My class was 350-400 people. I don't remember. I live in the Chicago area. My surprise was not being invited, but seeing pictures from the event on a friend's Facebook. Nothing like being reminded of how easily you are forgotten. That hardly anyone showed up. We had a class of 500. There were 25 people there. We all just sort of sat there. Got pissed. Then went home. Edit. Pissed equals drunk. My Australian is showing. Sorry. Edit 2. As a mercy to my poor inbox. Yes. 500 people is a big year. Just like what I did in actual HS. It sucks when you realize how many people from your graduating class are now deceased. Where the FCK do you people live? It's only a 10-year reunion. Ask the people around work if the 10-year was worth it. They said, no. Everyone's still trying to figure things out and haven't changed much. But don't miss your 20-year reunion. Everyone's got kids or divorced and have drastically changed. That about 90% of those people had not changed. They wore the same clothes for 10 years. Gross point blank said it perfectly. It was as if everyone had swelled. It's not actually a surprise. But I had to go with my stepdad. Yes. My mother married one of my classmates. That people my age are dying. There was a discussion brought up about how you don't remember the nice things done to you in high school. But those mean, disgusting things comments haunt you forever. One of the popular girls said, I'm glad I never made anyone mad in school. I was friends with everyone. One of the most quiet, shy girls from school slams her drink and then pounds the glass on the table as loud as tea. Are you f***ing kidding me? You were the single most evil CNT in the entire school. You tortured me every single day with your snide comments about my looks and style. I've hated you every day since. The popular girl looked around the room like, who's this bitch talking to? Every single person there started sharing horror stories about the popular girl. She left in tears. Teen girls too. It was anticlimactic. Hardly anyone showed. 2 years later, I joined Facebook and now I never need to see those people in person ever again. Facebook. All of the schadenfreude without having to actually talk to them. Nothing. Because only 7-8 people showed up. We were a small class anyway. only graduating 60-ish. I take that back, one surprise. It was an open bar. And my finance cannot drink like she used to in college. Edit. Damn it. Here I thought I was getting responses cause I was all cool and stuff. But autocorrect has stricken me again. Fiancé. Not finance. My brother went to high school with someone who eventually became a Major League Baseball player. He told me that this guy was a douche in high school. And then at the 10th year he flew in by helicopter to show off. None. People got fat. The people you wanted to talk to. You already do anyway. People got fat. Had kids. The popular folks aren't as popular anymore. You won't remember anyone's name. If you go solo you might get flirted with a bit. I've lost about 35 pounds and turned into an athlete. My 10-year reunion is in a few months. And part of me is really looking forward to showing up as the quiet bookworm who turned into a hot girl after high school. I'm still a quiet bookworm. Though. So I'll probably just stand awkwardly against the wall while stress eating stuffed mushrooms and shrimp. Not me but my mother. My mom was sitting at a bar at her high school reunion and saw women who looked really familiar. My mom yelled across the bar to her. "Are you Craig's sister?" Craig being a high school jock that dated my mom's best friend, the lady replied. "No. I'm Craig." My mother had once been to one. There was this really shy girl. She wouldn't talk to anyone or do anything. When she went, they found out she was a prostitute. Go to pay me to get me to talk. Twist. Since Facebook, high school reunions are stupid. I went to mine and I was all like, "Corey, what have you been up to? Since you pushed up to 125 4 times at the gym last night? Beast mode? That's really impressive. Corey." How mellow and normal most people became. People I thought were jerks or enemies turned out to be surprisingly nice and awesome. Except for the loud preppy kids. Most of them stayed obnoxious. Met my future wife. We hated each other in HS. But at the reunion everything clicked. Edit. Be careful who you hate. Edit 2. In HS. I was really oblivious and kind of socially inept. My future wife was very shy and conservative. We both took the AP classes so we interacted about enough that there was friction between us and we did nothing together socially, so there was this quiet dislike that grew over 4 years. Over the next 10 years through college and graduate school we both grew a great deal. I became more socially experienced and she really came out of her shell. It didn't hurt a bit that we both were making good money and were in pretty good shape when the reunion rolled around. We talked and drank and decided that we had enough common interests at that point. Maybe just wanting each other naked, that dating would be a good idea. That they were going to charge $60 per person to go. We were all set to go with an old friend. Met at his house when we found that out. That was $120 for my wife and I. We decided to stay at his house and get drunk instead. I never liked those people anyway. I went from someone in HS who felt he always had to hide, afraid I'd be embarrassed or made fun of, to someone in my adult life who was successful and confident. Yet at my HS reunion I still felt like I didn't belong. Honestly, it was a bit jolting because I felt I had changed so much, but yet it didn't matter a bit. You always think if I could go back and relive those days. But my conclusions was that I'd still hate HS and the mentality of kids that age. I am the only male from my graduating class that is not dead, in jail, or on probation. They couldn't hold a reunion. Plot twist. You were homeschooled. My username comes from my 10-year high school reunion. I was nervous about seeing how much more successful and attractive all of my old classmates were. So I did what I do best and made up a bunch of fake business cards. I handed everyone I met a business card that said Wholesaler Bees, last names Wholesale Bees, and under it said New Bees, Used Bees, Specialty Bees, Vaccines. So I guess it was surprising how easy it is to convince a bunch of people that I am a bee wholesaler. Facebook has decreased the surprise of high school reunions. You went on that trip to Mexico last year, right? Yeah. How do you know? It'll be alright when I go. I don't have a fancy job. Or millions, but I don't have a drug addiction. Unintended children. And I've not died of an overdose. So with regard to many of my schoolmates, I'm pretty successful. I have always wondered, how do they track down all the people to inform them a reunion is happening? Surely a lot of them have moved several times and even live in different parts of the country world. The mom of a friend of mine met a woman called Anna at a reunion. She wasn't sure who she was. Apparently they had been pretty good friends back then. Her name was David back then though. I'm excited for my all-girls high school reunion next year so I can meet Alistair. I only ever knew him as Ashley. That the two girls who went to InterPRN showed up. My dad went to his 50-year school reunion last year. When I asked him afterwards how it was, he said, waste of time. The people I liked at school I had kept in touch with. And the people I didn't like at school were still wankers. With the amount of girls that went to my high school that got pregnant before graduation. Went to an all-boys school. Turns out we had a girl in our year. Went to my reunion even though I dropped out 2 years before graduation. Not exactly sure why I went since I had only kept in contact with one person after I left. I figured I was a nobody that wasn't noticed in HS. I wasn't a loser nor a popular kid. I was just a face in the crowd. That's what I thought. Anyway, almost everyone recognized me. To my own surprise, I recognized and remembered the names of most of them as well. I even got complimented for being the friendliest person they remember. That's coming from all the cliques that existed in HS. Skaters, jocks, goths, nerds, etc. Apparently, I talked to anyone and everyone. And didn't care who they associated with. All in all, a good experience and I walked away with a few new friends. As it turned out I was the drunkest, sleaziest piece of shit there. I don't remember a damn thing. Except that I felt just way more out of place around my former classmates 10 years after high school than when I was in high school. I don't know why. I wasn't really unpopular then. In fact my class got along great. Small towns don't generally have so much of the cliqueness you see in movies. After I graduated school, that's when I got all elitist and smug and kind of became a bitter, bad person. Within 8 months, I was in rehab to quit the source. My experience was that every girl I knew in high school that was still single wanted to bang. That's right. Every one of them came to this thing looking to get laid. Weird night. Mine passed a few years back and was very interesting. Few surprises and shocks observed. How many people still looked physically the same as they did 10 years ago. Just aged. How many couples there were. Many who never dated in HS. It's kids everywhere. How much of an impact I had on my class. People recognized me without a second glance. I changed my dress style, haircut, etc. Since HS completely. How many people who were complete screw-ups and F-cups in HS turned out okay with decent jobs? All those people I thought were ambitious and had plans to change the world never left town. Except maybe to commute to the community college the next town over. Well, you can change the world by liking pictures on Facebook now. No need to leave the town. Nothing. Facebook exists. And if you aren't the type of person to be Facebook friends with people from your graduating class, then you aren't the type of person to go to a 10-year reunion. The prom queen now weighs 200 pounds and has 4 kids. Tragic. She used to have 6 kids. I spent 2 hours boasting about working in a cattery to a woman who turned out to be a neurosurgeon. Jamie had a chance. Good question there. We're having ours this year so it will be interesting. However, I have talked to some of them on Facebook and I can say that I never thought some of them would be parents. Men. People just got older but everyone was still pretty much the same. Everyone was nice and we all just bullshitted. I'm from a small rural town in the middle of the country, so people are just generally nicer and we really didn't have the cliques like most high schools had. We all pretty much just got along. The one thing I found strange is a majority of the skinnier athletic people in high school had gotten completely out of shape and large, and the kids that were large in high school, almost all of them were now in good shape. Weird stuff. 10 years is too short. In 20 years, any men really got heavier. Especially this athlete guy, who was really slim and could run under 5 minutes a mile when 14 years old. More than doubled his weight. Most women kept their shape well. Only got some wrinkles. Most of the people I hated in high school, still douchebags. These guys who showed up who used to be total freaks, and this girl who used to have this messed up back and a back brace who was kind of a bitch too. We used to call her the aluminum monster. Got really drunk and did this weird dance in front of everyone with some old guy. It was weird. You know, I was the only out gay boy in my graduating class. As the others have come out, and believe me, a lot of them have. Guess who they tell first? In fact, guess who they drunkenly text to try and hook up? As such. Damn. I can't imagine what my 10-year will be like. I have so much dirt on so many people. Don't go. Don't look back ever, just light the match and walk away while things explode behind you. I went to mine. Got stupid drunk and got into a fight with some guy I barely remember. That's probably from you being an idiot. Big hoss. Someone killed a guy at mine by stabbing him with a pen. The real kicker was that he wrapped him in the welcome back banner. That shit was crazy. And all of us had to be interviewed by police. We didn't get home for hours. I was the biggest loser in high school but was the coolest motherfucker at the reunion. Also, the jocks who bullied me were janitors at the event. Everyone married someone either a year ahead or a year behind. And still lives in my hometown. Sums up the creativity and ambition of my town and my generation. Hot chick who walked around like her shit didn't stink now has 3 kids and her husband was unemployed. Not so hot anymore. The people who you thought were popular in high school peaked then. I didn't make it to mine, but I heard all about it from a friend. What surprised me was who already had children, not the ones who had planned on being mommies by now, and who hated their careers that they had been working so hard towards in high school. I have to include myself in that. But I had company. Nobody had gotten super fat or even looked much different, just a little older. I think the funniest thing I found out is that the self-proclaimed virginity thief from high school is now a first grade teacher. Before anyone else PMs me about potential pedophiles. It was a girl who had this nickname. People with wrinkles and grey hair already. This will surely be buried. But it is my favorite 10 years reunion story. It happened to my husband, who was definitely not at the top of the social ladder in high school. He was honestly pretty dweeby. No offense, babe. If you see this. One of the rich and popular girls was making conversation with him and a small circle of other people in the loud bar. She is one of those bleached blonde orange tan boobs out way too drunk way too early kind of girls. They were all talking about what they did now. And upon learning that my husband was an aerospace engineer, she dropped this gem. If I had known you were going to be a rocket scientist, I would have FK'd you back in high school. Apparently this was followed by shocked silence. Someone pointedly said, well, the bathroom's right over there. Curses upon my bladder. For I was in the bathroom myself at the moment and therefore I missed out on the opportunity to intensify the awkwardness by immediately introducing myself to her as his wife. My 10-year reunion was in the 90s, so no Facebook. Went along to see what had happened to the people I wasn't still friends with. Everyone looked way better than they did in high school. Most were pretty happy and doing well. Would never go to another one. Before I turned their feed off. Facebook told me how fking boring they are these days. Don't see the point in reunions now. Social media killed them. Edit. Just found out there was a 20-year reunion about 2 years ago. Friends theory, none of my friends went, is that reunions are even more popular now. Because then they have more things to Facebook about. So, looks like I'm wrong about social media killing them off. I went to mine as an astronaut millionaire cowboy. But they took off my cowboy hat and knew I was a phony. This really popular guy actually turned out to be gay. His boyfriend was pretty cool and gave me some advice of how to make some money making adult entertainment. Me and my friend said why not. Comical hijinks ensued. Cue romantic epiphany. Now we're happily together. I went to my 10-year, damn. That was over 5 years ago. And my takeaway was that the jocks all got very bloated, puffy looking, and some of the nerdy chicks were suddenly a lot cuter than the women who were considered cute in HS. My favorite moment was when I actually heard one of the sad, bloated ex-popular dudes say man. I made fun of Jessica W. in high school and now I want to get into her pants. It was like something out of a movie.